opened up my eyes and I realized that I needed to go through what I'm going through right now. It's just, or else I was just gonna keep on repeating the same patterns forever. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Um, Jess's reminder this morning of how we used to do a grounding. So we'll start this call kind of by doing a grounding for everybody. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Coming from live everywhere. So if you are not driving or operating a heavy machinery or something, join us here in closing your eyes and let's start by grounding and bringing peace to our minds. And collectively, it's powerful when we do it. So close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths in and bring your awareness and attention to your breathing. Notice how the air is cold on the way in. And begin to visualize a color that represents love for you. What color is love? What shape is it? Love that encompasses forgiveness, encompasses sympathy, compassion for yourself. What color is forgiveness? And I want you to imagine in the center of your mind this, whatever the color is, and let it expand. See it forming from a small little dot and let it expand to the edges of your mind. Let it fill up as far as your capacity of your mind goes. And then what's on the other side of that? What's on the outside of this mind? Did it fill up that whole space, or can you expand your mind to be bigger and then allowing that space to fill it again, that color to fill it again? And then can your mind expand even bigger than that? What's the limitation to your mind? As this beautiful color of love and forgiveness and compassion touches all corners of your mind. Any new problems that could arise automatically will be filled. Any challenges you may be going through is a new space that's created in your mind that is automatically filled up by forgiveness and love. And as that continues to expand, let it touch people's, let it touch other people.
Sorry, I'm having trouble. Please try in a little while.
Anyone that you can think of, any situation you can think of, allow this beautiful color, this ball of forgiveness and love touch it. And instantly it is healed. Knowing that this expansion of love and forgiveness isn't up to you, it's always expanding. It's a simple recognition of it. And let today be a recognition of this ever expanding energy of love. Whatever color, whatever design, whatever shape you've made it, let us remember that it is constantly expanding. And anything that you can possibly think of that robs you from the reality of this moment is instantly healed. And all it requires is you to remember that all things will be touched by it. That this ever expanding love heals all gaps, closes all gaps as soon as it could even possibly be imagined. So let today be a remembrance of this ever expanding energy of love. And now that it is in your mind and you can see it, let it be a remembering of it. See it in other people, see it in situations in your life. That all problems that could possibly arise, it serves as a reminder that this love is real, that this energy is real. And you can tap into it anytime that you want. And begin to bring yourself back. And take another 2 deep breaths in. Come back as a renewed remembered version of yourself. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, thanks for encouraging us to begin that way, Jess. I had no idea what I was even gonna say, and it just it just came out. So good. It was actually in my mind, I was like, it's dedicated to Jess. So okay. So may we remember that all of our problems already have an answer, already have a solution. Hey, good morning. Morning, Hector. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us here. So this call, what is this call about? This is called Money Miracles. For those of you guys that are new to this, anybody that is brand new seeing this, Money Miracles is we bring together a different perspective about money. Lisa, hey, oh my God, welcome. It's so good to see you again. Oh man, I love going live, but I get into my shit before going live every time. It's so funny. Before I click the live button, it takes a couple seconds. I hesitate before I hit live, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram. I'm like, oh man, what am I going to talk about today? I'm being put on the spot. And it's always amazing because I see people log in and I see people join these lives. And I'm like, oh my God, it's been so long. And it gives, people don't have to jump into the Zoom and do that. But, seeing people's names on live, really, it's awesome. So hello, everybody. And thank you for joining us. So what is A Course in Miracles? A Course in Miracles is this book. Okay. This book is, it teaches us about our relationships. It teaches us how do we find happiness and inner peace, not through all the exterior things. And on this call, specifically on Sundays and Wednesdays, I want to address our relationship with money and all the material things that we have. Sometimes it extends into our relationships, or extends to how we are with our family members or significant others. These types of conversation are also welcoming as well. So help us find enlightenment. Well, it depends on what you define enlightenment as, but it does bring you close to it, right? It does. Hey, Hector. It does bring you to an awareness of what truly is, what reality really is. And it isn't what we actually see out here, because all the things that we see, we assign meaning to. So really this conversation, this call is designed to look at the world that is created within, that is inside. Our inner world really dictates the way that we experience the world. I just started to read this book, and thank you, Elise, for recommending it to me, How to Change Your Life by Ernest Holmes. And it really, this book right here, So it really speaks about focusing on the positive things, positive affirmations, being able to visualize what you want to create. And then also being able to look at what is it that you really want and how does faith in it, faith in the ever expansion of God or the intelligence of the universe is always here to serve you. And that we all can have dreams and desires in this 3D world. And all of that, see, the relationship to those things, our experiences, what we experience is dictated from how we think about it, comes from our thoughts. And that's exactly what the Course talks about. If you focus on the bad and you worry about things, you know, who said it, but worrying is a prayer for the worst possible outcome. And that is our natural go-to. The ego naturally goes to worrying. We always think about what is the worst possible outcome. How can we prevent the worst possible outcome? And by thinking about those things, we actually draw it over to us. If your conversation is, I can't trust people, people will always screw me over, you are that powerful and you will create experiences in your life that will create alignment to that conversation. You call it into your reality. And then you're like, see, I'm right about it. But that isn't how the world operates, is because you designed it to be that way. That's what you keep telling yourself. Now, you could tell yourself something different, but it requires you to constantly interrupt the worrying and the judgments until it becomes real for you, until you see forgiveness, until you can trust. Right? There is when it's real for us, we no longer need to interrupt that thinking because it's our automatic. We automatically trust. We don't think the world is dangerous, that we can see. And the only way to do that is to see our brothers and sisters not as dangerous people, that they have ill intentions, but that all of our desires and our wants are actually the same. Let's find the similarities in love than the differences in fear. See, that's the only two things you have to focus on, is which one do you give more attention to? And a lot of this is, you know, it comes from, it will create other twisted thoughts as, you know, if I give something, right? I was listening to before this call, I usually listen to a speech or a workshop by Marianne Williamson. I listen to the questions that people ask. And somebody asked today, you know, when I do my spiritual practices and when I give, and I got this thinking, I don't know if I'm being genuine, because am I trying to plant something so that I can get karma for something better later? We think about, if we do something now, if I'm a good boy now, if I invest now, I will get something good in return later. And in that, we take away the genuineness of giving in that moment. Okay, money. What is the point of money? Money isn't designed for us to, you know, most of us think of it as a way to be able to purchase things, to acquire power and acquire status. But money is really used, it could be, it's expression, it's a tool used for sharing and giving and deepening our relationships. That's what really the Course says the purpose of money is, because all things, and it doesn't actually specific say that about money, but it talks about everything in our 3D world that we live in here. That everything serves as a purpose, right? The purpose of anything is to share it so that it may grow. It may rest with the same energy of growth and expansion that the universe and God is always in, that frequency. So if there is anything worth keeping, we want to share it so that it continues to grow, so that the energy behind this thing continues to grow. And that's why, that's the same point that money right? Money is kind of like growing all the time, but for some reason, as it grows, we have an opposite thinking that it's going to shrink for us, right? It's so weird. We call it inflation. It's like, oh man, as we have more energy, what I have is now worth less. It's interesting. It's interesting to look at inflation that way because we don't question it. We're like, ooh, there's more money in the system. That means what I have is worth less. And when we think that way, we actually cut ourselves off from getting some of this expansion, from joining in the expansion of money. We've got to a place in the world, okay, today, that we can't stop. There is no stopping the printing of money. Okay, it needs to keep expanding. But whatever we do with the supply of money, it does not change the scarcity in which we think about it. That's why money isn't real. It's what we think about it that's real. And so our experience around us having money or not having money really comes down to our thoughts about it. And then when we don't have it, it changes our ability to even function in this world. And then when we have it, all of a sudden we feel like we're on top of the world. Nobody upsets us. But when we don't have money, we can't even get ourselves out of our own house to go do something because it's so powerful, the hold that it has on us. Right? So we want to begin to change that. And the way we change that is we have to interrupt the normal pattern of thinking that I may be having right now. Right? So yeah, I'll open it up for anybody that wants to share anything. What did you hear? What's your experience? What's your thoughts from our opening meditation to, the conversation about money and about people and about expansion, about giving and receiving? What's the purpose of it? If anyone wants to share, it could be anybody. Just raise your hand. If I put you as if I accept your request to be in the video, I don't know how to undo it. So just ask your question in the chat. And if you want to be like live, just join the Zoom. So with that, what that looks like is go to my story, click the registration to the Zoom link, and you'll get reminders, and you can join us. Yeah, you can go, but just write it in the chat. Otherwise, you'll join us live on Zoom, which there are people in our Zoom right now as well. Yeah, so worrying, right? Because we worry about something, we're making this thing real. We're making the lack of something happening real. So it's actually a prayer. It's a prayer for the worst possible outcome. And it's interesting when you start to worry about something, say that to yourself. And you're like, oh man, got to change it. Got to change the way I'm thinking. What am I praying for? Because as you worry about something that hasn't even happened, see, we can only worry about the future. It hasn't even happened. And what we're doing is we're pulling that future into our reality because that's how powerful our minds are. Right. So, yeah, worrying is the prayer for the worst possible outcome. And then you got to ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? Can I do that more? What's the opposite about worrying? Yeah, you're welcome. So, cool. Antoine, go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Yes. So, if you are surrounded by people who worry a lot, and I'm surrounded with people who worry a lot, and I have acquired this knowledge today, how do I help them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So think about this. If we wanted to create joy in a room, Okay. We wanted to have everybody shift away from what they're thinking, and we want to create joy and happiness in the room. What do? We could bring a baby into the room, or we can bring a really cute puppy into the room. They didn't have to do anything to fix this negative thinking, right? Or if they're worrying, they didn't have to do anything about it. They just came and was just joy, and it's just happiness. And yes, Natalia, it's being it. You be it will become infectious. But if you worry about their worrying, now you make their worrying real, and it only magnifies the worrying. But if you can be somebody that see, the reason why we can even see, and look, this comes back to us, and this is a question that a lot of course students, including myself, get into, is how do we help other people get out of it? But the course says, here's the thing. The fact that you can even see that other people are worrying, it means worry is real in your own mind. And then there's the work. The work is, how do I remove the worrying? I don't have to worrying about other people worrying around me. The fact that I see it, it means it's real for me. And it doesn't do anything if you remove them from your life, because where you are, you will continue to go with. So just because you move them away from worrying, what you're going to do is go to another group of friends and you're going to see them worrying about something, and that's what you're going to see. So it's really about, oh, I see all this in the people around me. It must mean projection makes perception. See, I didn't perceive them as worrying because they're worrying and then bring an experience to me. They're worrying because I see worry in them. I projected it onto them. It doesn't matter what they say. If love is on your mind, all you will see is love. If you see compassion, all you will see is compassion. So for you guys that are on the call and experiencing this and been here, you know what I'm saying is that the work is one way. It's for you. Now, if you're in a space where you see people worry constantly, now that is real. That is true in our world, that we will see people do certain things. Just because people are smoking cigarettes around me is not because I projected that they're smoking cigarettes, right? But they are smoking cigarettes. But my judgment of it is what is actually in this space, right? My judgment that what they're saying means they're worrying. That is what I get to work with. Now, if it's affecting me that much, remove yourself from the position. You can start doing, but the healing work will always be that I judge that this is what's happening in this space. Right? That because somebody could say something about worrying, and then all you see is, wow, they're really just they really need love. And what they're asking for is love in their life, is attention, is to be seen. You know, so you can see something different when somebody says something. It's from our minds. Me and you can both look at somebody and you can say, wow, they're just worrying and they're so negative. And I'm like, man, they're asking for so much love. How can I bring more love to their life? How can I see them more? How can I recognize them more? Same exact thing is happening. Two different outcomes. So I don't know if that answered your question.
It is. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Donna. Hey.
So, when you say that they're asking for love, but I'm a little conflicted because my life, it was more like they're asking for control.
Mm-hmm.
They worry to get control. So, is that love or is that something else?
Well, if love is all encompassing, and what is it that they want control for? Why? Why do they want?
They want their way, 100%.
But so that what happens? It can't just be they want control so they get their way, and they want it their way so that they can have control. You see, it's kind of like no next. Like why? Why would they possibly want that? What's missing that they would feel like control will fill? What gap is there that the sense of control will fill a certain gap? So then at the end of the day, they're calling for love. And if they call for love, that means in this moment, there's an opportunity for love. That means here it is. This visualization or this seemingly event that somebody is asking for control, they are calling for love into this space. They're calling so that their minds don't have to worry. So that whatever inadequacies or lack or gap that they feel in their life can be filled in this moment. Now, if you become triggered by it, then this is your lesson. This is a lesson for you. Because somebody can be asking for control, and if I have what do I care? I don't need control. But see, the fact that I see that they need control, it means there's a fighting for control. I don't want to give you control because you're so controlling. You're just always so controlling. I'm really talking to myself in that moment. Because if I didn't have the need for control, then I don't care. Go ahead, take control. Have control. Right? So it's like, can I be at peace with everything? And if I'm not, then the trigger is the greatest lesson and teaching from me. Sadness, anger, triggers, they're all calling for love. And that's why the only appropriate answer for anything is to respond with love. Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, of course. Feel free. You guys on Zoom have priority.
So, the prayer, whatever it was that you call it when you started, was very apropos. But I have a question. Like when you have really emotions tied to really old memories, like trying to feel the love and let go of it immediately, but it doesn't feel like it's being let go immediately. So how do you deal with those emotions that are tied to old memories?
So there's no dealing with it. You just experience what you experience. Let it take 10 minutes. Let it take an hour. Let it take a year. Let it take 2 years. Let it be a lifetime. See, it's the letting it be what they'll be. You know, that once I let them be, then it's not like a cause and effect. I'm not experiencing sadness or anger today because of it. Because that's just what that is. Let me just experience it. You know, the experiencing of it can teach us a lot. What am I holding on to? What is it that I'm in control? I'm trying to control. Right? Do I want a different outcome than what it was already? What am I chasing? So when you start to look at it like, what am I generating that is causing a certain reaction to whatever the past is? You know, until, like, let's say it brings sadness for you. Until the sadness attachment to that story disappears, then that will always have a perceived hook to you, that past event. You got to let it keep coming and let it transmute into different energies so that it can be let go, truly let go. Now, that could happen in a moment, or that can, and it's always going to happen in a moment. There's always going to be one moment which you will let it go. Whether it happens now, tomorrow, a week from now, a year from now, it's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be when you let your body go. Finally, you're like, oh man, what was I so worried about that past story for? Everything that we experience through the body, through the self that the ego has created, not through a witnesser of ourselves. Can I become a witness to the way Alex's life is playing out? Can I create a little bit of space and let that space be filled with holiness? Let that space be filled with God energy or whatever universal love energy that you want to call it. but can I witness what Alex is doing and playing his life out and having the traumas and the worries and all the stuff that he has, but cover and surround it with love as a witnesser witnessing Alex. You know, we often say like, when we experience something, we're like, oh, this makes me happy, or this doesn't make me happy, this upsets me, and then we make it the truth, and then we become that. Rather, we can say, in this moment, I'm experiencing happiness. I'm experiencing it, meaning that whatever I'm experiencing, that's just what I'm experiencing now. It doesn't make all of the future and the past the truth about it. But we get confused. And my wife is on this call, so hey, babeski. We had a conversation yesterday. She's like, you know, I want you to always be truthful with me about whether you're happy in our relationship or not. I'm like, okay, but even if I say I'm not happy in this moment, it does not mean I'm not happy with the relationship. I can experience unhappiness right now, and it can be completely unrelated to you. But the next moment could be different. 10 minutes from now, an hour from now, a day from now could be different. But what we do, if I said that to her, and what we do as human beings is we hold on to it like, oh man, Alex is not happy being in this relationship. He's not happy. And then I carry it to tomorrow, and then I carry it to a week later, and then we actually destroy the relationship ourselves. Because everything we see now is Alex is doing it with unhappiness in it. And we've robbed every future moment. We've imprisoned every future moment. So yeah, somebody could be upset. They're experiencing upsetness right now, but I can open up the prison doors and allow the future to have a different outcome. So if we all look at ourselves and we look at our relationships and our situations, what future person, event, thing have we imprisoned? Because we don't see an experience now as just an experiencing of it now. That it does not define all future. And that's why a lot of times, you know what I do? It's funny. Olives. I hate olives. But does that mean I hate olives forever? I don't know. So often, and so far, it's been real. Every time I eat olives, I'm like, oh, gross, olives. And then next time I'll be like, you know, maybe I'll like olives right now. And I'll eat olives, and again, I'm like, oh, gross, olives. So maybe I just don't like olives. But you know what has changed is coconut water. I used to say all the time, I hate coconut water. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'd never give it a chance, never try it because I know I hate it. And then we were in Hawaii, and I was like, you know, I've been carrying on this story way too long. Let me not hate coconut water right now. And we were super thirsty. Oh, sorry. I was in Belize. And so I took this coconut water and I drank it. I was like, wow, this is the best tasting thing ever. And now I really enjoy drinking coconut water. So weird, you know, but we carry on these stories and we don't even give our coconut waters a chance. And by coconut water, pick whatever that means for you. I used to hate mushrooms. Now I love them. There you go. Boom. Nothing is ever forever. It's just our mind relationship. Somebody said, I did the olive thing until I was 38. Now I love them. Well, I guess I got another year to go, Mark. Because I've been trying olives. And you know what? My wife loves olives, and there's always olive jars of different types of olives. Or maybe they're pickles. I don't know. They're jars of something, and I never touch them because I'm still carrying it. So, you know, obviously with olives and mushrooms, these are just things that we're like, oh yeah, we can change. Well, what about scarcity around money? What about, is it hard to make money? What about, is it hard to trust people? right? What about all those things? We could have gotten screwed over. I can invest money with somebody and have gotten screwed over. And is that going to just be, that's what it is forever? Every single person is going to do that to me. Right? And you will manifest it. You will manifest more of the same results of what you believe. The olives will always taste like shit if you think that that's what it's going to taste like. Okay. What else? It's only hard to make money if you live in a slow city. Is it though? Is it? See, that's thank you, St. Wolf Joe, for bringing that example up. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We are connected to the whole world now. We just because we live in a slow city does not mean we have to make money in a slow city. Would you say faith, belief, and love are the opposite of worrying? Well, I think faith and love encompasses worrying, because we will go through the seasons of worrying if worry is real for us in our mind. See, we think worrying, we as human beings don't do anything if it doesn't make sense to us or if it doesn't have value. Right? I think right in the very beginning of this book, How to Change Your Life, it has to make sense. And there must be something in it for you to participate in it. The question is, what are you getting out of worrying? What do you get? There are things that you get. Maybe you worry and you stress, and then your wife comes and makes you dinner and gives you a massage because you're worried. So then you get some value of being worried. I love it. When I'm worrying, my wife always comes, just give you a hug and I'll give you a massage, give you a head massage, and does all the things. I'm like, ooh, I should be worried. I should look worried more. And then it just becomes a real thing. Then I start worrying about all sorts of stuff. Boom. Yes, there is a gain. Go ahead.
A lot of older folks, older people in our lives, sometimes you see them, they're sick, and subconsciously they get sick a lot because when they're sick, their family all get together and come and, being a lot caring, giving them a lot of attention. And, they love that. And, you're just seeing this right now, kind of with my Uncle Ron, he would say, oh, this part hurts or that part hurts. And that's always something that he has to tell us so that we can show up more for him. And inside, I'm saying that, Ron, you don't have to be sick for us to show up. We want to be there for you anyway. I want you to be healthy. But that's what, sometimes older people do subconsciously, getting sick more so that they can have more attention.
Yeah. And that brings a great point, because all of us want to be seen with love. Like, really, all of us just really want to be seen. If all that we do, we are always seen with love, then we won't want things that aren't love. See, we perceive that if I'm sick, people will give me attention. I mean, like when we were like in middle school, I remember there was a thing about like being injured. If you're injured, you get like attention. So people would like be injured. I don't know if this is just my school or what, but like being on crutches, people will give you attention, or being hurt, people will give you attention. But you don't get something out of that because you actually manifest that for real. So it is about the attention. It is about being seen. So can we just now go out and see people this way? Yes, there's that secondary gain. Now, in order for us to drop this act, we have to realize that this secondary gain has no value. What are we trying to manipulate? What we are manipulating, what we think we're going to get, really has no value. The being right, the being in control, these false sense of things really have no value. Until I see that, I will continue to hold on to it. And so for you, Donna, like those past experiences, the thing that you're holding on to, the reaction to it, what are you actually getting? And then what is it costing you? And then is there value in holding on to it? And then what's a new possible outcome that you can live into in your relationship to those stories? Right? This is that NLP type of work. We've taken this and broken it down, and we do NLP with it. Neuro-linguistic programming. That's how you program your mind. The only way to program your mind is to see that what you once have value in something, you no longer find value in, and you will let it go and you will drop it. You will drop the anger towards your sister, your brother, your mother, your father. You will drop the grievances around losing money, around what you were taught about money, and then realizing it was not a reality. You will drop the grievances about going to school and getting a good job and all the shit that they promised you that didn't work out. But it's the grievances around those things that we can drop. It's not about changing anything. Because I wouldn't change the experience that I had in high school and going to college for 4 presidential elections. You know, it's all good. Now, if I got out earlier, if I didn't do my restaurant, would I have more money, more real estate, more of that? I have no freaking idea. But what's the point of hoping something in the past can change when it's already done? Go ahead, Antoine.
So I want to bring this a bit home for me. It's about trust and control. So imagine a property where you are a limited partner and you dump, significant money for a flip. And then you realize that the managing partners are mismanaging the funds in terms of cutting corners, doing things cheap, and so that they can maybe get some money on the back end, or they said they're going to redo the kitchen and put all this fancy granite and backsplashes, and then they cut corners and do cheap stuff. So you're the limited partner, and you don't have the control, and you have to trust them. That was sort of the entry point of the agreement, right? So is this something that I attracted to myself, or how do I handle this going forward? Do I just ask for better partners down the road? From a business perspective, right? From a business and spiritual perspective, how would you handle something like this, or what advice do you have?
Yeah. What did I participate in? Like, where did I lack my due diligence? It's just little learning things. And then also knowing at the end of the day, look, this is money. I put it in there. I don't really know what it's going to be. And this is the part that requires faith and trust. That I don't really know what the money is for. I don't really know the outcome of it. Because maybe they do whatever they do, and then all of a sudden the market takes such a good turn and the location becomes so great. See, these are things that we don't know if we have control of. And then you still end up making a whole bunch of money on it. Right? But right now, yeah, there is some turmoil. I think everybody in the market is experiencing it. And then it just, know that if you lose it, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard to actually lose money in real estate. But if you lose the whole thing, okay, especially the whole thing, if you lose it, how is it something what's it going to teach me about the next thing? Because I promise what you learn from it is going to directly relate to how you will make the next amount of money, right? Or lose it or keep it. Nobody is giving up their last dollar. Okay, so first know that no matter what the result is, I'm still safe, right? That I will have a roof on over my head, that I still have the capacity to use my arms and my legs, and think about it this way. If we were, somebody was sharing with me last week that if we played poker, Okay. And every time that we played poker, we have to put money into the pot, right? And while you're playing, you may be winning at certain points, or you may lose some at certain points. But at the end of the game, when it's time to get up and leave, you have to leave all your chips on the table, and it distributes back to everybody else. How will we react to losing a hand? Right? Because this is kind of what it is. You invest into a deal, you might lose a hand. Now it's still playing it out. Like the river hasn't come out yet. I'm using this analogy. I'm not even sure if everyone understands poker, but there's a flop that comes out. You get 2 cards. The flop is the first 3 cards, and you may have nothing. You're like, crap, there's no way of me winning. Then the turn, which the 4th card comes out after all the bets, you're like, ooh, now I have 3 of a kind. What's the river? Right? I don't know. But until the river comes out, you don't really know if you're going to win or lose. And then at the end, and then during that whole time, can you still be laughing and having joy around it? See, if I knew that I have to give all these chips back anyways, then I'm not going to freak out. You see people freak out. I've seen people getting stabbed over poker at casinos. Like, what? Right? And that's how real we've made money. But can we see it that way? Because that is how it's going to play out. At your deathbed, you're not carrying nothing with you to the grave. All right? Like, it's funny because, like, the pharaohs and the Egyptians actually buried all sorts of stuff back in the day because we wanted to hold on to stuff so much. Oh, make sure I have all this stuff with me in the afterlife. Like, wow. We've gotten we that much control. They actually buried people and servants with them. So insane. Now, that's my judgment. Maybe it's not insane. I don't know. Whatever. But if we realize that at the end of the game that we got to, we're not leaving with any of the chips, then while I'm playing poker, I'm probably just going to be having a lot of fun right there, right then. Right? It's not stressful. You see people playing poker and gambling, and they're like stressing. So stressed, and it's so real. But when you play with joy and fun, you actually end up probably collecting more chips. But when you're worried about if you're going to win that hand or not, you always lose that hand. Especially if you sit down at blackjack table. It was funny. Yes, actually, exactly what happened yesterday. My friend Lindsay came out to visit us. I never do this at a casino. I pull the slot thing like twice, and then all of a sudden from $100 I made 50. Usually I'd be like, oh, I'll play it down to 100, and then usually I play it down to I lose the whole thing. But she's like, no, just cash it out. I'm like, really? I don't know. And then we cash it out, and then now we have $50. I'm like, now what? And we're like, oh, let's go play one hand in blackjack. I'm like, all right, whatever. Put the $50 on one hand in blackjack. Immediately we win. Now we're at $100. I'm like, now what? She's like, oh, just take it and let's go. I'm like, what? Like, this is not what I do. She's like, just have fun with it. Like, you don't need to, what do you need to sit there until you lose all your money for? Right. And that's kind of like how serious we take everything. And then so we left up $100 instead of being down 500. That's a $600 difference. So, yeah. Yes, please.
So you hit it right home, Alex. It's really knowing at the end, no matter what, the end result is that everybody's gonna win. So I think this is where we, to work our spiritual muscles. The faith that you're talking about, this is where we use our words with power. This is where the imagination comes in, because yes, no matter what's going on the outside, because everything is our perspective, right? So we are seeing from this perspective, but no matter what's going on the circumstances on the outside, we have to train our spiritual muscle to see everything right. So seeing everything right is using your imagination to picture, oh my God, everything, the property management, they're actually doing the perfect work now. Because every thought that you think into it is a new beginning. So think into it right now, saying, okay, wow, I am seeing the reports. Oh my God, everything is working out and perfectly. They're actually saving money now. And I am hearing the asset management telling me that, oh wow, we are actually, the rent is increasing, the expense is going down, the renovation actually costs less than what we expected. So see it in your mind, hearing in your own ear, and that what you wanted to happen. And so this is, again, speak it into your mind that this is what's happening. And this is where the power and words come into play, our spiritual muscles. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you. First of all, I just noticed that your name says multifamilyinvesting.net in there. You don't normally have that on there, do you?
Oh, no.
I see it now. Wait, so you're in the multifamily space and you do syndications and all that too? Oh.
This is a beginner in syndication. We did own 31 units for 14 years. I wish I knew syndication earlier, much earlier.
No, I love that you said that. So first of all, are you working with other teams right now? Who are you working with?
Yes, I'm working with well, I actually took classes with multi-family mindset.
Okay.
So I got a lot of people in there and coaches. And
Tyler, is that Tyler Devrose or Devrose?
Tyler, Devrose, and Ryan, and also Brian. I forgot his name. But yeah, that's who I work with. But I'll just tell you, during this, when we saw our multifamily, our 31 units back in 2021. So we managed it ourselves. So that, it was in that area. This was in Huntsville, Alabama. And we couldn't find a good property manager, like really professional that we were looking at. So we ended up just the circumstances, we just ended up managing ourselves. So there were times that we had really crazy tenants, right? And that they did not pay rent. But what I did is I prayed them out of it. So instead of saying, oh, they don't have any money to pay for the rent, they need to get out. It took a lot of spiritual practice and I had to train my mind. I prayed them out of it, knowing that they are perfect spiritual beings, that they can afford the rents that they wanted to rent, right? That they are not in scarcity. Not, oh, I'm living in this place that I can't even pay my rent. No, I send them out on their loving way and say, I know that they will find a place where they will able to pay their rent easily and effortlessly, and just not here.
It was so beautiful till the last, just not here. Oh God.
I am a spiritual being. I am, also I want to be in an abundant mindset. So I know that every tenant of mine living and loving and here. That was our motto that we have it on the signs. Living and loving here. I want I would love that all my tenants love being here, and so they stay longer, right? So that's the vibration that we project, that I project. So whoever doesn't have that same vibration, they can go in their loving way, and I see them prosper. Not that I see them, just get out of my way or get out of my. No, I see them lovingly. I see, you should live in a place where you feel like, oh, I can pay for it so easily,
I think we should.
Pray.
Go
ahead, then.
I think we should do some deals together. I think we should. I think we can work together on something and bring together a. It's important to me the people that I bring around my team and run deals and stuff like that. And yeah, more of that energy would definitely be good. Exactly. Yeah.
And see things from different perspectives. So worrying is a waste of energy. They'll say that, yeah, what you share was perfectly. So what we project is our perspective. If we see it as worry, then yeah, that's pretty much what's coming our sphere, because we create our own reality, really, basically, right? Everything we think into it, we create. So we have to again come back home. It's like, okay, what kind of vibration am I sending it out? Like, it's am I the light that casts out the darkness? Am I the light that casts out the fear? So Jesus walked in to Jerusalem. It's his life. People, he didn't have to do anything. People just touch him, and voila, like that vibration just heals everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I find is so amazing. And I'm, constantly working on this. Everything is just changing our perspective and building up that spiritual muscle.
You working on any deals right now?
Yes, I'm looking at the deal right now. We actually had a deal that was going, but decided not to go forward because the renovation, the mold issue, it could be something gigantic. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's my first deal, right? First deal is so important. So
Let's have a call after, on a separate thing, just to see how we can actually work together. Hey, from Japan. I'm also part Japanese, so welcome. Yeah. I think it'd be cool. I didn't know. I mean, starting from last week when you like spoke up, I always saw just the picture of you, and I was like, oh, Elise, where's she coming from? Like, and then you spoke last week, and it was just really powerful. And then now you're in the multifamily space too. I love it. That's so awesome. Cool.
I love this. I love the Course of Miracles. I love Marianne Williamson. Yeah, she's awesome. She's really good. And Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these beautiful things.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're doing awesome, creating the space for people to come in. So I really embrace that.
Oh, thank you. Like everything that I do is with that behind it. Is a bringing people closer to that spiritual self and to God. And I'm gonna share this too. See, there's a perception also that everybody needs to, especially when people are starting, there's this like focus on, I need to make more real estate connections. I need to talk about real estate. I need to look like I'm more professional. And there's just this like everybody's talking about NOIs and how real estate is better for everything else and all of that. I 20% of my videos probably have something to do with that. The others is about like personal development, is about Course in Miracles and these types of things. And I have people that work for me on my social media that DMs people, right? They either DM people and you can target. I DM people, not in real estate. Okay. So I could, cool. If we meet somebody with real estate, that's awesome. But my focus is Las Vegas and people that follow Marianne Williamson or study A Course in Miracles, and every one of those relationships, those are the deep connections that I got to make over and over on Instagram and LinkedIn. And those people, I mean, maybe they will invest, maybe not, but we found the common ground somewhere else. That's the beginning building of trust. I'm always shocked. I'm always like, these people that just DM me or spam me like deals that they have. I'm like, do these deals ever really get closed? Because who actually will invest if you just get a cold call just about real estate or deals or something like that? And it's so those are, I guess maybe it's just a numbers game. It's just if you do a 10,000, maybe you get one. But I rather like nurture one relationship and another one and another one, and knowing that they can all be a part of the co-creation of an abundance, right? Maybe with the circle that I'm at right now, $5 million deal is a good deal that we can do. And as I deepen that circle and those relationships and they and their resources, each person is like adding 10 people to your resource pool because they know a whole bunch of people that can do it too. Right? So wherever we're at. All right, Elise, thanks for hanging out with us. And
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you. Maybe the next, after a little bit, after making these new agreements or new relationships, maybe it's a $20 million deal. Maybe it's 30. But cultivating and nurturing quality, I believe, is better than going straight for quantity. Okay. And we all know that, but our actions aren't aligned with that knowing because we only conceptually understand it. We don't live it. So same thing with this conversation that we're having every week, twice a week, we get to have this conversation because all of us, we know some things, and then there are some things that we kind of just know on the surface, right? It hasn't really landed in the core of us. And so we're just reminding ourselves over and over and over again until we really, truly live in trust and abundance and love and faith. So those are, that is the intention of these calls, is not just for you, but for me to be remembering as well. And for you guys that have been on these calls every week, I love it. Share where you're at, share what you're, coming up against. Because when you bring these thoughts of trust and, and love and caring and all these things to it, just lost my train of thought from a random weird comment. When we bring these thoughts to it, stuff will come up for us. We will see things in our life like, oh, well, this challenges what I just learned. What I just came to an understanding of. It challenges it. And then it doesn't make sense. Then now it gives you the opportunity to think about it, dig deeper with it. It lets you go deeper with something. All right. Yeah, that was funny. I have no idea. That was so random. Okay, who else? Who wants to share anything? Natalia, how you doing? You want to share anything?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I actually do. What a beautiful connection with the leaves. I love seeing that, and what you said about connecting with people on one level and then being open to the possibilities of whatever happens there. I had an experience, a beautiful connection last week. Somebody from here, from the ACIM, reached out to me. There was an event happening in Miami, the Fund Lunch, something live, and I wasn't even aware of it. And Marisa from our call, she reached out and said, "Hi, Natalia." And we had been connecting, and the relationship has been unfolding, and we have this beautiful connection. And so she's like, "Where are you in Miami located? My daughter happens to be there for the conference. I would love for the two of you to meet." And I was like, "Yes, I would love to meet your daughter." And so I ended up saying yes. I met her over for breakfast.
How cool is she, though?
How cool are they both? Amazing. And I love them. And so I said yes. I went over for breakfast. We immediately connected, or I felt this beautiful connection immediately. And I love listening to that. And I think it was, and I remember this connection because of the connection that was happening between you and Elise just now. And that's exactly how I felt when I met Randy. And she's like, "Oh, want to come to the conference?" And I had recently, I think when I was coaching with you last year, that I read The Power of One More that you had recommended. And I loved that book. All of a sudden, I had never heard this man speak, but I love this book, Ed Milet. And so the night before I meet with Randy, I saw a video of Ed Milet for the first time. I had never seen his face. And next thing you know, I'm sitting at the conference and Ed Milet's about to speak live. And I'm just mind blown by the unfolding of events. So I wanted to share the story this morning, and I wanted to thank you for reminding me of that this morning. And how cool is it, when I listen to that inner voice and I follow, and and I say yes to opportunities like that, and when I feel a connection and I'm open to the possibilities as to what those connections bring, miracles happen like this one. And when I do that, the more I do that, the more I reinforce another story, as opposed to feeding the story of like, I can't trust people, or like people are not to be trusted, or, whatever the old stories are. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this stepping into this trust, like, oh, I don't know, somebody reached out to me that must be God sent or an assignment. I said this to my trainer and he just started dying laughing because when all of a sudden there's an attraction, not like, like the romantic attraction, but when there is an attraction, I personally call it like this is an assignment from God. I get to explore it. I get to explore and enjoy the miracles that's about to unfold. I think that is just incredible that like you say yes, all of a sudden it leads to another thing. And Miranda is like so awesome. Like I have a kind of like a standing call with her once a week. And she's an incredible person. And I see like possibilities working with her, and I want to keep exploring what that is. And it's reciprocated, which is even better. Then now all of a sudden there's definitely something we both get to work at, right? We both get to create something together. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm open to the exploration. All right. So yeah, that's awesome. What a cool story for you. And then all of a sudden Ed Milet sitting in front of you, or talking or speaking. All right. What else?
And also, being in that, like you said, it's like the more I spoke with her, the more like similarities, like I would find, and the connections, and like what you just said just landed, like at that moment in time, in this particular situation with her, but also, with anyone I have in front of me, it's like, oh, being in the possibility of, and in the discovery of like, yeah, this is an assignment. We're here. And what would that be? And allowing it. I feel like the allowing of the unfolding, as opposed to, going to a meeting and having like an agenda of like, oh, okay, I'm going to meet with this person, and this is what can unfold from there. When I used to do that in the past, it was like I realized that I am blocking, or not blocking, but like not allowing the limitless, possibilities that can unfold from that meeting. So like being in the discovery of it without an agenda, because I could have gone to this meeting like thinking, oh, okay, they're from here and there, so like multifamily can be the thing. But like we ended up not talking about anything related to, any of that. All of a sudden we're talking about like, oh, she used to be a school teacher, this and that. And I'm like, oh, and so, and in this case it was with her, like being in the discovery process with anyone that's being, we're being guided to spend any time together. So I think for me, like that has been like really, really life changing lately. Shifting from the, being open to the endless possibilities of what can happen from the encounter.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we should all see this type of miracles. It's a natural occurrence is what the Course calls it. It shouldn't be under conscious control, but you can be enjoying it. Like, what's the miracle that's going to show up in my life today? But if I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to lay in bed and nothing's going to happen. I'm just going to be a potato or whatever. I mean, cool. If you enjoy that experience, enjoy it. Right. But if you start judging it, then do something. Look for the miracles, right? Like Reach out to somebody, message somebody. You know how we always get like, if you reach out to someone, this is on the other side of it. Like we get a message from someone like, wow, that was so random. This person just messaged me and they were just thinking about me, I guess. And then we just, you know, we talked about the past, and now you can be that person, right? Just kind of be like, I'm open to miracles. Let's see what I can create today. Reach out to somebody. If they come to your mind, reach out and say hi. You know, hey, was just thinking about you. That happens every time somebody crosses my mind, and I'll be like, you know, I'll send them a message with no intentions of anything else. Just send them a message, and whatever happens, happens. And oftentimes I just kind of forget that I do it too. I'm just like, oh yeah, I reached out to this person. Go ahead, Alex. You're muted.
There you go, I'm muted. Okay, so yeah, speaking of just being open for miracles, not really being attached to the outcomes. There was a day where I was supposed to meet with an investor, and you know, the hours leading up to it, I really wanted to spend time devoted to just looking at the deal and preparing for it. But a couple of clients ended up calling me, and I was kind of acting out of this people-pleasing area. I was fawning, and I was answering the calls and not giving myself the time to prepare. So anyways, I go into this meeting, and I try not to be attached to the outcome. So we ended up talking for like maybe an hour and 15 minutes just about our vision in life, and then 10 minutes about the deal. Turns out it was a not right now. And actually, the guy that I was talking to, him and his dad, seemed really distant. Like he almost didn't want to, he was uncomfortable with the conversations we were having. So late in the day, I was kind of in that zone of like beating myself up, like, oh man, you know, I could have really prepared better for this and talked more about the deal. So anyways, the next day, I get a call from that guy. And he says, hey, I just want to apologize if I seem distant. Really, it was I was uncomfortable with the topics talking about it in front of my dad. And based off of what we talked about, I would love to reconnect with you. And also, he sent me another contact for another investor. So now I'm just branching out my connections instead of just focusing on the deal itself. And it all worked out exactly how it was supposed to. So in saying that, yeah, connection is the first step. It's the most important step, and it's the only thing that's ever happened. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Good share. Good share. So, you know, I just sometimes when we start having a topic and we have like miracle moments, I would like to just flip open to a page and see like, oh, what's these miracles pointing to, right? So I'll just read what I flipped to right now. Literally just grab the book, opened it. Can you share some deeper tips or practices to cut out worrying? Yeah. So first of all, you gotta see that whatever outcome that you're worrying about has not happened. Okay, first of all, it hasn't happened. Now, is there a chance of it happening? Yeah, but the more that you think about it, and the more you think about that, you pull it towards you. And your experience of life, see, when you pull something from the future towards you now, you start experiencing that event happening. Right. And then so you're living this moment with that frequency. So of course you pull that to you. Now, how do you interrupt it? Sometimes, I don't know, you can I'll play video games just to get my mind off things. Right. If I start to worry, I'm just like, oh, you know, it isn't real. Because think about this, you're worried about your investment deal, you know, and then all of a sudden and you have an experience around it, but that experience isn't the truth of what's happening, right? Because the next moment you get a message, hey, your mom's got cancer. Are you even thinking about this deal anymore? No. Or if all of a sudden your wife calls and goes, oh my God, we won $1 million. Would you even care about your 100,000 or whatever in a certain deal? Right? So it's just like, the outside things are happening all the time, but can we bring peace and bring ourselves back to the grounded moment that whether $1 million comes or I lose $100,000, I appreciative of all of it, knowing that whatever is happening for my good. God is making it happen for my good. Right? So there's just a simple coming to trust. Okay, this whole worrying. The worrying is, I don't believe God's got my back. That's the worry. Right? You may have hope. I hope that God's got my back. Too many holes in it still. Hope is strong. You know, it's definitely stronger than the fear itself. But then there's also that like faith, right? I have faith. I trust that this is, you know, maybe it's going to happen, that, you know, I have faith that someday I'm going to be out of this. Okay, cool. Still, this moment, things can rob you. But if you have absolute certainty, right? Like you're just climbing the ladder from no faith to hope to faith to absolute certainty. And when you have absolute certainty, whatever you're worried about is happening for you, not to you, for you. And it requires a constant practice, moment to moment, because I could be worried right now. Then I step into it. I'm like, okay, I feel better. Next moment, oh, fuck, I'm worried again. It's okay. Take it moment by moment. Okay. And just let it be. Take it moment by moment and step into more and deeper faith and trust. Okay. And practical things. I watch Billy Osbrook on YouTube. You know, he literally is a beast. You know, watch some motivational videos from Denzel, Will Smith, you know, Ray Lewis. If you watch Ray Lewis's motivational videos, oh man. You know, there was a point where I was very low. You know, I've spoken about sometimes where I lost everything. No money, no possible good outcome that I could possibly see. You know, I got no money, no credit, lost everything, living in a tiny little house, like tiny little utility closet that I couldn't even like afford. I was running out. And I was worrying, and I just pounded myself constantly, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of motivational videos of get your ass back on your feet. There are people way worse off than you. You know, what they had to do to, you know, what was a chip on their shoulder that had them work through it every single moment, every day. You know, and usually your biggest traumas in your life could be used as the greatest spark to light a fire for you. So then those things happening, were they happening for you or did they happen to you? All right. So Isabel, thank you so much. So can you find the things? If you don't have those things, if you don't have the stories that's going to light you on fire, that means it's coming. Welcome it. That means this deal is about to fall flat on its face and you're about to learn. You're about to take something and let it become a spark. Now, when we've changed our minds about it, when we've welcomed it, maybe it's like, it doesn't need to come anymore. You don't need to learn this lesson, but you got to be genuine and truthful with yourself. So yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. There are people out there that have experienced way worse. And they're sharing and telling their story. And it's through motivational videos. Kobe Bryant, where did he get his persistence? LeBron James. Why is LeBron James the greatest player right now? Will his kids be that great? Right? They didn't experience some of the hardship that he had to experience. Did those things happening, was it happening for him or to him? So that's what we get to look at. If you want to shift all the worrying, it's like, I welcome it. Give it to me, right? It's going to make me stronger. It's going to be a fire. I need to go through it to become the best version of myself, to remember who I really am, because I've forgotten. I've forgotten that money was a tool. Money has me right now. That's why it's going to punch me in the face until I remember that that's my tool, that it does not have me in that way. All right. So those are the things that, you know, we get to shift, and it's just shifting your perception around it. So I hope that helped. I think the question was some practical steps to deal with the worries. So I gave you some practice. All right, brother. Take care. Before you leave, I'm just going to read this. Okay, well, see you later. I'm going to read what I just flipped right open to. Hopefully this lands for everybody. I'm sure it'll land for somebody. Landed for me as soon as I opened it. So day 109 in this a year of miracles. Today I communicate with love and grace. Whenever I'm seeking to express myself to others, I am responsible for my effect. It is my responsibility and only mine to communicate in such a way as invites others into my heart. This is huge. It is my responsibility and only mine to communicate in such a way as invites others into my heart. I am aware that there are always ways to speak and ways to behave that cause fear instead of love to arise in those around me. It is not the job of others to figure out who I really am. Rather, it is my job to make it clear for all to see. If I want others to see the love in me, then I must show it to them. Dear God, help me hone my personality so that my love is clear to all. My softness is hidden from no one, and my goodness is always expressed. Help me always find a tender way to communicate my thoughts. Amen. So I glanced at it. I didn't actually know how powerful that line that was for me. I'm actually going to just mark it right here, and I'll go back to it after this call. But, I think it has to do with the way we communicate and the way we relate to each other. It is my responsibility. Too often we say it's somebody else's responsibility. It's my responsibility that everything I say and I do, the way I behave, the words that come out of my mouth, it is an invitation for people into my hearts. But I got to be so clear what the path to my heart looks like. If I'm tempted by other things outside, I may have different agendas that leads people astray off the path to my heart. And then it gets confusing. And then people don't experience it. Or maybe I say things that induces and causes fear. Right? That's the difference. There's two paths that we get to take. When we teach our kids, right? Do we teach and lead with fear or with love? And it's so funny. This week, we were in a mastermind about operations dealing with property management. And one school of thought was fear. People need to see that I will fire anybody that doesn't do what I'd say. That doesn't follow the procedure. We will fire and we'll make an example so that others learns that way. And that's why we're doing well. And then the other school was, it's actually extremely hard. People do not operate well under the pressure of fear. And so there's the two schools. But the result that you create for yourself depends on which school of thought that you teach. The way to your heart isn't through fear, for sure. You will just get lost yourself. Even though your deal may look good in this moment, but it will come back and bite you in a different way in your life. Operating and demanding from fear never works. And we seem to think that that's the way to do it. That's how we're going to teach our children. That's the way we're going to teach others. Deterrence. Right? We think that if we made jail as bad as it could possibly be, it's going to deter people from doing bad things. Excuse me. Then why the hell is it always getting higher? Every year it's higher and higher. The people that are being incarcerated. Because that shit don't work. And we're just insane as a human race to think that that's going to work. Now, there are countries. Okay, when I was in college, we were actually learning about this exact thing right here. That there are countries rehabilitating people not through incarceration and fear like that. Through inspiration, through motivation of what could be, what can be. true rehabilitation. So I don't know. I don't know which one works, but I know which one gives me peace in my mind. And that's what I want. It's always different schools of thinking about things. So we got a couple more minutes here. I just want to, thank everybody for as brief of a time or as long as you've stayed around and kind of listened to this conversation and been a support system or a soundboard or, just witnessing this. Just witnessing this and spreading and sharing the love and allowing pieces or parts or all of it to land for you and touch your hearts. So thank you all for taking the time out of your day and being here, sharing this moment and witnessing this moment. So a couple more minutes. Anybody want to ask or share anything else before we wrap this up?
Hey, Alex, I just wanted to thank you for this beautiful message today and for the constant reminder that we get to choose what thoughts we entertain in our marvelous minds. And based on what the choices that we make are the results that we get. So thank you again for that. The message was perfect as always.
Oh,
And have a blessed week.
thank you. Yeah, you too. Anybody else want to share anything?
Hi, this is Isabel.
Isabel.
Some resources that teach us more about what Alex was saying about how we make things happen with our thoughts. The Secret is a really good book that teaches us how to think our life away. So whatever we want, we attract it with our thoughts.
Mm.
And also, Think and Grow Rich has very specific, sentences that you can say every day to train your subconscious mind to see what you want in the future that you haven't attained yet, and to acquire it. So those two are really good, powerful books.
Yes, I agree. Think and Grow Rich drastically shifted my thinking. The Secret also, it coincides really great with A Course in Miracles. The message, I believe, is very, very clear, very real. Thank you. And thanks for joining us.
Antoine here.
Hey.
Say a few words.
Sure.
I learned a lot today. I just wanted to share what I kind of captured in my own way. I've heard it before in certain terms like negativity kills creativity. But I think one thing you've been saying that's been pounding in my head over and over again is that, create. So even in difficult situations, avoid the mindset where you're just burning calories and I think the way Elise said it was, you worry and you're worrying and just, empty calories or something like that, she said, right? And instead of focusing on create, bring love into the situation, bring imagination, think of the future of the person in the situation and things like that. So I just thought, we are beings that are powerful and we should be creating. And I thought the message today reminded me that it's all about the creativity and the tools that are available, such as imagination or perception, willpower, and so forth, to create every day.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's worrying is praying really hard for the worst possible outcome. Yeah. These are little things that I picked up along the way. And what you said, Antoine, is extremely important. Like, don't confuse being busy with progress, I guess. Movement does not always mean progress. Like, movement, sometimes it's a waste of energy. So you got to know where you're going, then go in that direction wholeheartedly, full conviction, knowing that there is no wrong path, but following the fire, following your heart, passion in action, right? Like just because you're moving does not mean you're making progress. You can run in place. If you're running the whole opposite direction, and then you're actually going backwards. So yeah, having a clear mind, having a clear heart, and then moving in that direction. That's progress. That's going to be progress. All right. And I think all of us being on these calls, myself included, this is progress for me. I don't believe this is moving with no progress. All right. And then one last thing that I just want to give everybody before we hop off is the giving and receiving. We kind of started off and talked about this call on this call is like we give a lot of times hoping for something in the future, right? I'm going to get this back. I'm investing in this moment. Do I do my relationship this way? I'm going to do this so later on I can get that, right? That takes it away. Can I give in this moment? Because when you give in this moment, you should receive in this moment. And if you've received in this moment what you gave, then it's cleared. I don't need to pull from it again later on and guilt somebody or anything like that. Right? And it's literally when I give, I give. When I receive, I give. I give because I receive, and I receive because I give. And it's happening right there in that moment. I'm not doing it to collect some good karma for later. That's the one last thing. And if we, take that and look at how you do everything else in your life. If you have a partner, this is the best. Ooh, I'm going to do this so I don't get, so it doesn't annoy me later. I'm going to do the dishes so she can't say anything about me sitting here playing video games or whatever later. Right? Like just little things like that. We can look at how we do everything. Right? I'm gonna clean up my area so I don't get this later. Well, do it just to do it. All right. So that's it. Much blessings and thank you, everybody. If you have not registered for the for this call, just go into my link in my Instagram and you can register for the ACIM call or my Monday night call or Thursday night calls. Those are ones that we talk more about real estate and money, and you'll get notification and reminders of when those things are, and you'll get replays. So feel free to register for those links, and that way you can get the links. Like people that are on the Zoom call, they get a link in the morning saying, hey, the call starts at 10 and here is the Zoom link. So it makes it very easy for you all to know that this is happening. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. Much blessings to you all, and I will see you when I see you. Goodbye. Bye, everyone.